Hello Flosstube friends, I'm Nancy Joy Trower. I'm the stitcher with the laughing face, and this is Flosstube number 11. Thanks so much for stopping by to see what I've been up to for the past couple of weeks. I was able to start on a great craft room transformation. I'm taking over one of our bedrooms as my new crafting space, and even though I don't know when we're actually going to paint and move the furniture around, I still have to go through all of my crafting stuff so I can get it organized, so I can load it in really quickly when the time comes. So I started with fabric, as that is now living in the closet that's in that bedroom. So I made a little short this week, so you can see it on my Flosstube channel, and it starts with the giant pile of fabric that I pulled everything out of my crafting space, and including the bins I kind of forgot were there, or what was in them, and everything has been sorted into its new home. So lots of loads of laundry later, because I washed quite a bit with really good detergent to kind of get that plasticky smell. A lot of it had been stored in plastic, some had been stored in cardboard, and so now everything smells light and fresh, and it's awesome. I am going to talk some more about quilting at the end, and I thought I'd kind of do some segments today. So I'm going to talk about stitching, and then I'm going to talk about quilting. So if you're not a quilter, you can skip over that. And at the end, I'm going to talk about books I've been reading. As a librarian, I challenged my students to read over the summer, and I told them that if they read more than I did, they'd get a free book at the book fair. I don't want to give away a ton of free books at the book fair. So I'm trying to read a couple books a week. So, well, and I kind of do anyway, but I'm just trying to keep myself on track. And I don't know, I haven't read as much as I usually do because, Flosstube. Yeah, it's been too easy to just press play on Flosstube and watch something instead of listening to an audiobook when I've been stitching. But I'm going to try to be better about that over the summer. But I've got a couple books to show you at the end in case you're interested. So it's been 2 weeks, and we've been pretty busy. My last video, I told you about my escape, my poor departed escape. I really liked the car. It was very comfy for me, and I enjoy driving it. But the past school year, like during the school year, we had new brakes, it had new tires. I think there was a problem with the hydraulics in the hatch in the back. We had to have those replaced. It had to have a new starter. That was fun in December when my car wouldn't start at school. And just recently, the past couple months, it had some problems with overheating. Well, we finally figured out it was a cracked cylinder. So that was a fatal diagnosis. And so the week after school was out, we went car shopping, and now we have added Rosie, the RAV4, to our fleet of cars. So the Escape is gone wherever. I mean, the body's fine. I'm sure they'll strip it for parts and use it to fix other Escapes, but it is gone to the great dealership in the sky, I suppose. But I really do like the RAV4. It's very comfortable, and I have short legs, so finding a car seat that is comfortable for me to sit in isn't always easy. Sometimes like when I drive my husband's car, I have to have a pillow behind my back to push me forward a little bit in the seat. But it's very comfy. It's very easy to go fast because it's very smooth drive. And we chose it because our mechanic said that of the RAV4s that they see, it's basically for our oil changes and just some routine maintenance. They don't have major problems. So knock on wood, we're going to have the RAV4 for a long time. The only things that I have left to do is change all the music stations to what I like, because the previous owner and I do not have the same taste in music at all. And I have to train I have to do voice training so the car can listen to my voice commands, which is kind of funny, but we're happy with it. I also did an online conference for librarians, got some good ideas for things I want to try out in the new school year. For both my students and also the faculty and the community around our school. We're on a big campus that's more than just our school. So there's some cool things I want to try there. And, but that was the first week after school was out, was the car shopping and the conference at the same time. So I wasn't able to pack up the library until this week. And of course I was there at school like the 2 hottest days of the year so far, 2 hottest days like ever, according to the Weather Channel or something. Like Wednesday was like one of the hottest days on earth ever. Yeah, that was the day I left the school early because it didn't feel so good. But everything's packed up in boxes and put to bed for the summer. And when I left and said goodbye, my principal was like, oh, before you know it, you'll be back here in a blink of an eye. And I was like, please don't say that. we need the break, need the time to refresh. So that's all good. So, yeah, and then the rest of this week was really spent working on moving the fabric. And I discovered something. So when Alicia, the Fanciful Flamingo, when she was doing her 15-minute a day craft room cleanup in June, and she did a lot of really fun videos about, how easy it was to get sidetracked and, all that fun stuff. But she said she had put it away later-itis. And I was like, oh, me too. Totally that. It's like this little it's like librarians, like we'll put it in a pile to be shelved later. And I have other people shelve my stuff at school, so I don't have to do it. So I have determined that I have save it for something special itis. So all this fabric that I found, Christmas fabric, things that I bought, that were in boxes and labeled and, this is for this quilt and this is for that quilt or that kind of quilt. And it's like, why am I saving it for someday later? I do the same thing with paper. Think about if you've been a scrapbooker, you have stickers or paper and you're like, I'm going to save this for something special. What else could be special? So I am going to try to rid myself of save it for later-itis and use up the stuff that I have now and enjoy the stuff that I have. And I think that is kind of the fun thing of finding like these treasures, and wait to see some of the things I found. I'm actually going to show you one thing right now because not everybody's going to save for the quilting, but this, I thought all of my friends out there with little kids would enjoy this. So this is a cape. I did this. I must have done this for a VBS at some point. So this is just a regular t-shirt. I think it's like a regular adult size t-shirt, but you cut off the sleeves and the front of the shirt and you leave the neck hole and just a little bit around and you have a cape. I'm pretty sure we must have done this at VBS. I did Vacation Bible Schools for 8 years, and I always came up with my own themes and my own curriculum. So we did a superhero one, and we must have done this and let the kids draw on them with fabric markers or something. But I found these two down there. I was like, oh, I know people with little ones. Like I know Jessica, Better Sweetwater Stitchers, has little kids at home, and other friends. Java Girl Stitches has her like sweet little granddaughters. So that might be kind of a fun thing to do with old t-shirt that you have that maybe has holes in the front, but the back is great and you can have some fun with it. But there's all sorts of crazy treasures down there, things I totally forgot about. So it's been fun to see so far. All right, so let's start with the stitching stuff and previous finishes. So I have quite a few to show you today. If you've been watching my channel, thank you again for being a follower. There's some of you who come back every week or every other week, and I'm so appreciative of your kind comments and stopping in and like we're having conversations about stuff through the comments, which is really pretty cool. So if you've been here before, you know that I have the first year of celebration set from Hands On Design. So this is the July one. And I did all of these on, I found a new tube. It's Irish linen. So it's Irish tea-dyed linen. I have a lot of that. I use it a lot because it makes things show up nicely. Especially when you have some white down there. It does show up. Not so much in this lighting, but it does when you look at it in person. So it's mounted on foam core and then a coordinating fabric for the back. That one's just little stars and a little bow that I can just stick into the clip. I love this frame. I got this at Hobby Lobby a while ago now. And sometimes I'll put something on top of it as it's sitting out on display to add to the display area. And so that is sitting out right now on a table with some 4th of July stuff, along with my sugar stitches for July. Now the sugar stitches, you can find those her patterns on Etsy. She has this adorable calendar girl set. And I just love them. They're all done now, and I'm so happy that I can, switch them out every month. So they all have cute little dresses and something that goes along with whatever is for the month. So July, obviously she's got a little barbecue going, some fireworks and some rockets over here. Now I make a ruffle for each one, And even though it's only red and white over here, I already had done a couple that were just red and white, like Valentine's Day, and the August one has just a red and white plaid too. So I really wanted a red, white, and blue plaid. And this is actually a wired ribbon that I pulled the wire out of one side, put the long stitch in, and then pulled it to make the ruffle. So this ruffle is really thick because it's the ribbon. So, so I have a couple magnets. I have a bunch of them like stacked up on the back. So we'll actually reach the board. And then that just sits on a little easel. So those are out together right now with some other 4th of July stuff. And then this is something I take out every summer. Oh, it's kind of dusty on top. I'll have to figure out how to clean it. This is from Ursula Michaels. And you've probably seen some of her stuff like this before. This was actually part of a series that was in the Cross Stitch and Needleworks magazine. And she had one for each season. So I did the snowman, which was winter, which was all blues and purples. And then there's a flower that's springtime, and there's a leaf that's fall. But I really liked this one quite a bit. And when I did this, I can't even remember how long ago it's been now. It was kind of at the beginning for me of not just sticking everything in a frame. So, but wanting to be able to display things without it being super expensive. As we know, framing can be very, very expensive. And I may have already started seeing Priscilla's stuff, but didn't really like get it yet, I guess, how like she was using foam core and stuff. So I used my quilting skills and made a wall hanging. So this is just fabric that I put a border around it and a second border. And then on the back, you can see I quilted those borders so that there wouldn't be any shifting. So just around the stitching itself, and then in between the two borders, use some ribbon to make the loops at the top and then hang it up. And then my husband cut the dowel for me. It was actually on a stick for a long time. I found a really straight stick in the backyard, but then I was like, you know, I don't really like the stick with a summer thing. The stick strikes me more of like a fall thing. So I had to, it took a while, but finally he had out the right saw, and I was like, oh, I want you to do the dowels for me. So he cut the dowels, and then I just put the little wooden knobs on the end. And of course, these are totally you could totally paint them if you wanted to. So that is an Ursula Michaels. And then I also did this one from her. So that one's quite a bit bigger. And because we mountain bike, Brooke and Vince will be back this coming week, so I'm sure we're going to go out at least once or twice and go hit the trails. We really enjoy doing it. And I like being out in the woods. It's like quiet and peaceful, and I feel like I can think out there better. So this, I kind of did the same thing, just obviously on a larger scale, and I've done this a couple times. There's a few things that you'll see that I turned into wall hangings. I did the same with the snowman with the that mat that goes along with the boat. But this one, even though it's pretty big, I don't think it really took a ton of time because it is a lot of writing and words do go pretty quickly. So this, I just used a black to pick it up and then a blue as well, and made the fabric loops on the back, which I don't enjoy doing because you have to turn them inside out and it's kind of a pain. But then I just hung it up with some coordinating ribbon. So these are going to be out for all of summer to enjoy, and maybe even a little bit longer for the bike. Now I have one other pattern of hers that I definitely want to do. It's a coffee mug, and my classroom has a coffee theme. So August, I know I'm trying not to think about school yet. It's okay. It's time to not think about school, but I do want to do a couple coffee themed things that I can put up in my classroom. I think that would be fun to do. All right, so those are my previous finishes, and then I have two finishes to show you from my Patriotic stitching. So the first one is from Pinker and Punkin, and I really love her stuff. I think she's amazing that she just gives away her patterns. They're all free on her blog. So Pinker and Punkin blogspot.com, and it's PinkerNPunkin quilting at .blogspot.com. So she has this cool hutch that she puts every month. She decorates it with a different vintage things, and she finds a lot of great stuff at thrift stores, and just the way she puts things together is really cool. But she has just amazing, cute little salt boxes. She's got a whole set of them, all different seasons. I want to do them all. I love them. I just think they're adorable, and how cute they would all be in dough bowls. So this one, I started it at the Stitch Your Stash 2023 had a 6 and 6 weekend in June, and so I started a whole bunch of Patriotics. So we were supposed to do 1 hour on each project. So this was one of the ones I started then, and I finished it right after my last video. I think I was pretty close to finishing it. So this is on Carolina linen, which is from DMC Charles Craft, and I like it. I think it has kind of that vintagey homespun feel to it. However, and I could kick myself because in my B one, the houses don't show up as much as I would like. So I made sure on our little eagle friend there to just do a quick outline of him to make sure that he showed up. And the pattern itself actually says freedom across the bottom, but I decided just to have it with the house. And I did play a little bit with the colors. I made this a darker blue. I think it's 931. 931, maybe 932. It's one of the 930s. So I used that. So that was really cute. I'm going to turn that into a little pillow, and I was very happy to finish that one up. And then, so for July, I'm doing 1 full week at a time, because I did 5 for 5 in June. It wound up being 5 for 5 on different, after I finished the June month to month, which I just love how it turned out. But after that, I got onto Patriotic, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do 5 days on each of the Patriotic ones that I'd started. So I have the Red, White, and Bloom done. I have the Saltbox Freedom done. And then the next one I was doing was Primrose Cottages, Star Spangled Street. So, and I actually did finish it. So I'm grabbing some paper so you can see it. Now, this one I kind of did... I did my own color conversion on it. They called for a lot of weeks, dye works, and classic color works that I just did not have on hand. And I was watching Primrose Cottage, and Emily mentioned something. She and Holly Jones had done the color and cotton conversion for A Stitcher's Garden, and I purchased that, and I love color and cotton. I would love to be able to go to that store and just, I don't know. Aaliyah, the Fanciful Flamingo, says like she would roll around naked on stuff. It's like, yeah, I would do that on that floss. That's awesome. I love the feel of it, and the variegation is really, really nice. So when I was done with the Stitcher's Garden, I still have a lot of floss left over, and I was trying to think of something to use it for because I didn't want to waste it. I just enjoyed using it so much, and you know, why buy it and stick it in a drawer? So I was thinking about a couple different stitching things because I want to have a whole bunch of stitchings about stitching and crafting in my new space, but it seemed kind of forced whenever I was picking out something to use it. And then Emily said something one day that she was using some of the color and cotton floss she had left over in a Patriotic stitch, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. So that's what I did here. So I used color and cotton. You can see the variegation in the red house. And you can see it in the blue one next to it. It's darker in their pattern. I used some of what I had. I used Pickle, which was the green for the bottom. Hopefully you can see here. Well, I can't see. I hope you can. But I used the Pickle for the variegation in the grass and also in the trees. And I'm just really pleased with how it came out. I have a little board that I got at Hobby Lobby that I think it will fit inside. It doesn't leave a lot for having fabric around the edge, but I think that's okay because I think this one really kind of speaks for itself. I did this on raw Belfast linen from Zweigart. It was stuff I found in my stash. I hope I can find more because I don't have a ton of it left, and I really like it, especially for making the white pop. Like the white really shows up on it. So this was really fun, and I'm going to get this finished up too. So those are, almost forgot, those are numbers 15 and 16 on my 50 for 50 challenge to myself. Since I'm turning 50 in August, like in a month. Oh my gosh. I wanted to challenge myself to finish 50 projects in my 50th year. And so those are 15 and 16. But hopefully I'll have quite a few more next time I see you because of all the stuff I found in my stash. So the Primrose was really the only thing I've been working on this past 2 weeks. I did work a little bit. I forgot to grab it, but I have a to-go bag now for the car. So I have Mrs. Claus's Bakery in that, and from Stitching with the Housewives. And I'm doing it on that iridescent Ada because I figured for the car, working on Ada would make it easier to see the holes, which actually that Ursula Michaels coffee might work on Ada in the car. And it's all just one color brown. So that might be a good car to go stitch for the summer. So maybe I'll have that kitted up because we're going to be heading to the Adirondacks in a couple of weeks. So that would be a good thing to work on while we're on our way there. But really that's all I worked on was the Saltbox, the Primrose, and then Mrs. Claus's Bakery, just a little bit on that. I do have some new starts now that I finished Primrose yesterday, the Star Spangled Street. So I do have some things I'm going to start working on. So my original plan for July was doing 1 week on each thing. So my first week was Patriotic, and that ends today. So I'll show you in a second. So next week, starting tomorrow, is going to be Pinker and Punkin. And so this is what I'm going to work on next. Because her stuff is free, she doesn't have pictures with her patterns. So you have to see it from my iPad. This is Mary's summer house. So there's a couple summer houses. Maybe it's B's. I'm not sure. B, like BEA. But I've always loved this one. And I'm going to do it on blue fabric. So the sky looks blue. Because the green at the bottom is full coverage with the little sheep and stuff. Oh, and this will actually count. The other Pinker and Punkin, the Saltbox stitcher, or the Freedom Saltbox, that Saltbox stitcher is another person. That counted in the Colorado cross stitchers summer cross stitch camp. She and I'll link her below. She has a challenge for the summer. For June, it was Stitch Something with a Bird, so that had a little eagle on it. And then July is Stitch Something That Grows. Well, we've got quite a few things. We've got sheep and bees and sunflowers in there, so lots of stuff that grows in that one. And then August is Stitch Something You Haven't Done Before, like something new. So for that one, I want to start. There's a Teresa Kogut that I want for my birthday and I might even do a birthday sal. See if anybody wants to join me. And I've never done a Teresa Kogut, so I think that's what I'm going to do for August. But this is going to be my July stitch for the Colorado Cross Stitchers Summer Camp. And that's all on Instagram, so you need to post it on Instagram and use the hashtag in your description. And then if she likes it, it means that she saw it and you're entered into she has grab bag winnings, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to work on that starting tomorrow. Very excited because I've always wanted to do that one. It's super cute. The other thing I'm going to work on today. So I meant to start this on June 27th, which was my mom's birthday. And she would have been 82 this year. But my mom loved Mary Poppins. And so I saw this. This is from the Little Stitcher shop. The Little Stitcher. Sorry. And she's from Italy. And I wrote all over it because I'm going to change the phrase on there. But I ordered this, and it said on Etsy, it's a PDF that you can just print out. It's the second one I've gotten from her. Not the last. She's got a ton. That's just adorable. A lot of really cool Halloween stuff, but a lot of like literary things. I want to do a lot of the literary stuff, like Little Women and Anne of Green Gables, because they're my girls. Yes, I am friends with fictional characters. What can I say? So I emailed, it said it was going to take a few days to get the PDF. So I emailed and said, I'm confused. I thought, it's a PDF. And she emailed right back. She was very sweet. So really lovely to be in contact with her. So this is Mary Poppins. And I'm going to change the phrase at the bottom and the quote in here. My mom and I know we both read the books by P.L. Travers that they're based on, kind of very different. And there's like 5 or 6 books. Because there's not just Michael and Jane and Michael, like there's twins that come later, and then Mary Poppins comes back to help raise the twins. But my mom really loved the movie. So I'm going to change this down here. It says anything can happen. I'm going to change that to practically perfect. And then I'm going to change the quote in here. I had a couple ideas for it, but I think I might just have to watch the movie while I start so I can find just the right quote. It says right now, open different doors. You may find a you there that you never knew was yours. But that's not in the movie. So I'm going to see if I can find something a little bit better. It's something that's more mom to me. I did also get fabric. So I got a big giant tube of the tea-dyed linen because I think that'll work really nicely on that. So that's part of my haul, and all of the floss to go with it. So here's all the DMC. See the different colors. So this is what I'm going to do after I'm done talking to you today. I'm going to get started on this. I'm really excited. Now, a lot of people did vote. Last time I asked you, I also wanted to start something for my, kind of in honor of my parents' anniversary. They would have been married for 60 years last week. And I had two options, two things that I had found I thought would be kind of cool. And everyone who responded, thank you for doing that. Everyone who responded said the little birds. So I'm going to do that for them. And I might just use some of that, the Hunter Classic Colorworks that I had as the blue color, because it has that variegation in it, and it was a really pretty blue. So, so I haven't picked up the pattern for that yet, but perhaps next time. We did just have to buy a new car, so I'm trying to be good, so I don't get in trouble. All right, so I'm gonna do Mary Poppins Day, Summer House. I'm gonna start tomorrow, and then the next week, so the third week of July, is when I'm gonna do Jolly July with the Stitching with the Housewives. I have a couple of the gingerbread that came out last year that I want to do because I decorate my kitchen at Christmas with gingerbread. And I have one of them done, and I want to have like the whole set and have them all done the same way. I also have the bike, the Santa Lane or whatever, the cute little Let's Go Ride a Bike Santa one. And that was another part of my haul. I ordered, doesn't look like much. Take it out. I ordered a whole bunch of fancy floss because Fat Quarter Shop had their 20th anniversary sale. So congrats to Fat Quarter Shop for 20 years. That's amazing. And so I bought all the floss that I need for a whole bunch of different stitchings. And as you can see, like, there's a lot of black coffee in there. There's like 8 skeins of black coffee because I want to do honeybee, and I have a couple of the month to months that I stole from to do the June month to month. So I'm kind of replacing a whole bunch of floss that I need. And I did get the floss to do the August month to month because I want to get that one done as well. So again, congratulations to Fat Quarter Shop for hitting 20 years, and thank you for the sale because 8 skeins of black coffee was like $20, but it was 20% off, so couldn't beat that. Then the last week of July is actually when we'll be on vacation, so I don't know how much stitching I'll really get done, but I am planning on doing Christmas in July with Primrose. I have the barn. I don't have the pattern with me. It's upstairs, but I'm going to use, again, I'm trying to use that color and cotton in special places so I can enjoy it and it doesn't just sit in a drawer. The Bing Cherry is the darker red color that came with that, and I'm going to use that for the barn in that cute little Christmas barn that they had come out last year. And then I did also order North Pole because they had a flash sale where all of their paper patterns were 30% off. So, shh. I ordered the North Pole and I ordered the Halloween one because the Halloween one normally is like $30. No, 30% off. It's a pretty good deal. And there's a lot of cute stuff. I love Halloween, as you will see in a couple of months. I love Halloween. And there was like coffee Halloween Bruce, and I was like, classroom and Halloween at the same time. Gotta have it. So I'll have that for you next time to show off. All right. So I did just show you a little bit of I have the floss I ordered. I did also get today, I picked up, I actually got it at Walmart because Joann wasn't open yet and I had to run out. I got myself a new rotary blade because mine, I have 2 of them and they are just worn out. I thought about it. I've been quilting for almost 25 years now, and which will explain the stash, but I thought it was time for a new one because I'm going to start working on quilts. And I've replaced blades, and I think at just some point it was just worn out, and I don't want to do all the cutting that I'm going to show you in a minute and have it snagging and ripping the fabric. That would just be terrible. I also, while I was there, picked up this box of star buttons because all of that Patriotic stuff needs to be finished. So it just kind of jumped into my hand. All right, so that's all I have for stitching. So if you want to hang out to hear about my quilting stuff, that's what I'm going to talk about next, and then I'm going to talk about some of the books I've been reading. All right, so when I started going through all of that fabric in the boxes, there was stuff I forgot was in there, things I had forgotten about, fabrics, but also there was some projects that were done. Now this one I didn't forget about. I knew this one was in there. So this is one of the things, hopefully, that will be on my list of 50 for 50 very soon. So this cute little table runner, I'm just repeating the fabrics. This was a charm pack, and I think I worked on this last year, and it was just super cute. So I love little turkeys and just all the fall colors. This one with the stripes is a favorite fabric. I love that fabric. I would use it in like 20 different things because I just think it's really pretty. There you go. Show that a little bit more. And it's got that, just a hint of sparkle to it. And this fabric over here, they have that in a whole bunch of different colors. This one's kind of like not gold, but more like a coppery color, which is so pretty for fall. I don't know if you can see the sparkle in it. And then I have the same fabric, but it's brown with the copper, and that's going to be the backing on this. And I think I'm just going to use a bias tape to do the binding on it. So that was one thing that I found that I was like, oh yeah, I got to finish that up. Like, why are these things not finished? They're all so close to being finished. Why are they not? Well, they're going to be. So these were things I did forget about that were in my Halloween bucket. So I have a thing for log cabins, as you will see. They're easy, they're versatile, and you can use scraps up. And I like the fact, the way I do them is that you've got a long strip and you don't have to cut beforehand. You cut as you go. So when you're sewing this strip, then you just cut it off and you put it back in the stack, and then you can use it, you know, the rest of the strip on the next time you're going to use it. So I find it a very efficient way of quilting because you're not doing all that fussy cutting before and trying to figure out math for stuff. You can just do it as you go. But there's so many different ways that you can arrange it. So I saw someone had done something like this with red and green, and I was like, oh, you could do that for every season. So it's just 4 log cabins with the blacks together to make kind of a plus sign. Now I think what my intention is I was going to make another one, same size, or at least another square with fall colors and put them together so it was double, like a reversible, and give them to my brother's side of the family. There's my brother, he has 2 kids, and they're out of there, and they're married and have houses. So I thought I'd make one for my brother and his wife, and then something for each of the kids, and maybe at Christmas have like a couple things, like a fall and Halloween one, a Christmas and winter one, maybe St. Patrick's Day and Valentine's Day, so you could just flip them over and you'd have cute little decorations for the table. So that was one thing, and I honestly did forget. It was there. And then this one is same fabrics, which I have a ton of this because I made it myself. I have a log cabin quilt that we put out every year, and so I'm still using the fabric that is in that quilt too. So longer table runner, kind of mirror image off the center strip. So that would be for my brother, my sister-in-law, and then, you know, the fall on the back. So that will go into my to be done right away pile as well. Then these are things I also pulled out. I actually, for a couple of years, before I was a librarian, I worked at a tech company. And it was really nice people. And my boss was a friend of mine, actually. But there wasn't that creative aspect to it. And I actually worked at our Joann's for a couple of years as the quilting instructor. So I had to purchase my own supplies for it. If I had worked there, they give you the supplies, but I had to purchase my own. And it was one of those things where it's like, am I really making money because I have the discount and I would just go buy stuff? So I had a couple things that I had to make as samples to put out so that people would sign up for the classes. So this is a barn door, one of the names of it. I think it probably has like 7. It's one of those quilt patterns that has many names for the same thing. So this is a barn door, and this is what I used for my example with all fall fabrics. I love the leaf fabric. So I made 2 of each, where the yellow and the orange, and flipped them and then put them together. It's hard to see the whole thing here. I'll back up a little bit. Put them together into a big square. Oh, there, you can see that. And then I flipped it inside out to, which it didn't hold on this side. I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. I flipped it inside out rather than putting a binding on it. And it's kind of stopped because I ran out of orange thread. And I was like, oh, I'll just go to the store and I'll find another spool of it. So I looked at it today and I was like, really? Do I really need to go to the store and find an orange spool? Because no one's going to know it's a different color orange but me. So this is going to be finished up. I'm quilting. You can see the quilting on the back. I'm just quilting in the ditch to outline the geese patterns, and so it's like geese and railroad. So that's a railroad and that's a geese. And they are super cute. So I'm going to finish that off and be able to put it out this fall. This one, though, was probably one of my favorite things I've ever done. I used the same barn door, but with this point set of fabric that is absolutely gorgeous. It's so it's just so classy looking. So I used the red in the center, and then there's the red one. This is like I don't know if you can see it. It's like cream with kind of a little bit of a gold sparkle to it. And then I have the next one is flipped. So I made, again, there's 4 of them, but I did them in a long strip this time. So it's a long table. This is paused because I ran out of poinsettia fabric. So luckily, I think it's a pretty popular fabric for Joann because I think they have it every single year. So I was able to get more of it. I have it right here. So I'm going to cut a strip and sew it on so I can get it into, the long, just add the batting. I used, not the polyester kind, like the cotton kind of batting. So it's a little bit thinner than the polyester, or you could even just use flannel. If you're just doing a table runner, it's not really meant to keep anybody warm or anything. Just use a piece of flannel in between this and the backing. And then it's not giving it all that height that if you put something down, it might fall over on it. So, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the back. I don't think it matters much, but I am going to bind it in black. I think that having the black really sets off the poinsettia. And I just love that one. So that is another that will be done sooner rather than later. It'll be in my 50 for 50 stack. So as I was sitting there looking at all this gorgeous fabric and thinking, there's 2 whole squares, giant squares of quilting stuff, and as I said, I want to stop having save-it-for-later-itis. I have all this fabric, I want to use it. So as I was putting things away and looking at all of it, I was thinking about how in a couple of weeks, at the beginning of August, we're going to head to Wisconsin to visit Phil's family. Sorry, getting tongue-tied. His mom is the only parent we have left, and I'm going to make something for her. It's usually we send flowers because it's hard to get something, to ship it to Wisconsin and make sure whatever is going to get there on time. And I was like, you know what? I've got a couple of weeks. I'm going to make something. We're going to take it out and she can open it there and we'll have Christmas in August. And if I'm lucky, I'm also going to make something for our oldest, Phil's oldest, Matthew, and his wife, Brittany, because we'll see them that week as well. So that's my plan. Now, as I said, I have a thing for log cabins. And that's what I'm going to do for Phil's mom because They're quick and easy. And then I do not know, I have a really good quilting machine, don't have a long arm. I do not know how to do squiggly line stuff. I do it in the ditch. But then it outlines and it's fine. Someday I'll figure out how to do it. But for now, I'm just, I think it's fine just to kind of, you know, go around the squares. And so they each are, each of the little pieces of fabric are outlined. So we're going to start with the point set of fabric, and that is going to be the center block. I'm going to do a big block in the middle and then do the log cabin around it. So this is going to be the center square, and it's going to be a 4-inch block. So I'll be cutting it 4.5, of course. And then I'm going to do 2 sets of blocks. I'm going to do one that has kind of more of a white palette to it, and one with a cream. So I'm going to be like Nettie from Primrose and like pet the fabric. So all of this was in my stash. So I'm going to do, there's going to be the center block, and then 1/2 of it is going to be whites. So we have 3 whites that I'm going to use on each of those blocks. So I have this one that just has like a little holly pattern. This one has candy canes, and this one has this beautiful holly, kind of snow-covered holly. Hopefully you can see that. So that'll be the white on that half. And then I have this poinsettia, tone on tone. And then this one, and I know it's stripes and it might not be perfect in each one, but it's okay. It's okay. And then green. So this one is going to be the back. So it'll be 3 whites on one side and then 2 reds and a green on the other side. So it's not going to be perfectly equal, but it'll still, you'll see. I'll show you next week. Then the other block will also have the poinsettia in the center. And then it's going to have, this is that same cream colored, it's really hard to see, the sparkling. I need more. I'm going to find more of that. And then this one that has like a little star pattern to it. And this holly. And then this is more of like the burgundy colors. So there's this red, burgundy with a speckle to it. This plaid. So the other one has a straight, this one will have a plaid. And then this one will be the green. So that is my plan. I'm going to do 4 4x4 blocks. So it'll wind up being a 16 block quilt. And then I always put a border on everything. I don't know what I'm going to use for the border yet. Maybe I have a lot of this one, so maybe that. Probably will use a black pinstripe like I did on the barn door table runner, because I think the black helps set everything off. Certainly the black, like a black binding. And when I use a quilt, when I make a quilt like to snuggle under, I always use flannel for the backing, because then I just think it's cozier. So that's my plan for Valerie's quilt. And then my plan for Matthew and Brittany's quilt is a little bit more whimsical. I have these. So this is all kind of like baking stuff. So this one is, it's got a sparkle to it. The sparkle is actually a little rough, so I'm hoping it'll kind of soften when I wash it. But it says, fa la la, 'tis the season to eat chocolate. So it's, I don't know, it's just super cute. And then I have just a polka dot with silver sparkly polka dots. This one I don't have very much of. I think I actually made a masks out of this one back when we made masks. So I might see if I can find more of it, but I thought even just in a few of the squares. And then that same pattern that was the polka dot, that one's just red with a gold polka dot. And then I have this red. I think this was actually from my mom, but I thought it was really cute with the peppermints and the little gingerbread. And then this blue. So a little bit more modern with the blue in it. And super cute little gingerbread houses. And then this one also has a gingerbread baking theme with the blue. So I do need a green. And I looked on Joann's real quick, and they have a, it was green and red with just peppermints all over it, and I thought that would be perfect. And there was actually a green, kind of similar to this. This I got at Hobby Lobby, but it was similar idea with green background with little gingerbread houses all over it. And I think this is just going to be squares. I'm very much like a symmetrical kind of person. Just putting things randomly all over would drive me nuts because I would be like, well, this one can't be in this row because it already's been in this row. That's how my brain works. So I'll probably do it where it's one in the corner and then diagonal strips of each fabric. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 different fabrics. And I feel like it really does need a green to kind of tie it all together to really make it seem Christmassy. Maybe one more red. So, but I have 3 reds. No, I have 2. One more red and a green at least one. So, and then a flannel backing for that one as well. So that is my quilting plans, and I'm showing to you. I spent a lot of time this morning looking through the fabric. You know how it is when you're picking, and when you go to the store and you buy them all in one set, that's one thing. It makes it easy, but this was, what really is going to go. And I had my iPad set to my all-time favorites playlist, and I was singing at the top of my lungs. I'm sure my neighbors just loved it. A very eclectic taste in music, so I'm singing Eminem 1 minute and Kelly Clarkson the next minute, and then Idina Menzel, and so I had fun this morning picking everything out. What I'm going to do now, as soon as I'm done talking with you, I'm going to go throw it in the washing machine because I am a wash everything before you quilt it person, and particularly because stuff was in the basement, I want to make sure that even though nobody else might, I don't want to pick up a hint of any sort of musty smell or plastic smell because some of it was sitting in a bin for a long time. So I'm going to wash everything. And I did actually, when I was doing those loads of laundry the other day, I actually did have heartbreak. That's the term when you have a fabric that the color runs onto another one. Thankfully, it wasn't anything like I'm super attached to, or there's enough of the fabric like I'm still going to be able to use a portion of it. But there was a hot pink fabric that I think I bought to make a dress because it was a pretty big piece of fabric, and it ran on a couple other pieces. So I will separate this out and wash all the reds, and the reds by themselves probably, and then the greens. And very often if I don't have a full load, I throw stuff in with towels. So I'll just take all the white towels and throw it in with the white fabric so that, the load kind of evens itself out. So hopefully next time I see you, I'll have a bunch of quilting stuff to show. I'm excited because I haven't quilted in a while because it was just always such a production to bring everything out. But now that I have my space set up in the crafting room, like the temporary workstation, I can go and hang out and actually watch some Hallmark Christmas movies because that's all that's on right now. And I was like, I'm not ready for Christmas movies, but if I'm working on a Christmas quilt, I think it'll be okay. All right, so I just had a couple books I wanted to share with you in case you're interested in looking for something good to read this summer. So if you are not into watching books, I'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out. Before I do go to the books, last video I had offered a giveaway if I make it to 500 subscribers. And this is the pattern. This is one of the heartstring samplery patterns. It's a very cute bee set. And I bought this a couple years ago when I had my bee classroom, and I had one summer where I was just gonna make everything bee. And they're super cute, but just not my style anymore. But I'm sure that somebody else would love to use them. So this is still up for grabs because I still have not hit 500 subscribers yet. So if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please do. And I'll think of a question to put in the end. What are you doing Jolly July, Christmas in July, or what are you stitching this month? Are you going to try the Colorado Stitchers camp and do something that grows, or are you working on Christmas? So tell me what you're working on. And hopefully if I make it to 500, I'll be able to give this away next time. So, so thanks for sticking around. If you want to hear about books, I'll just be a few minutes longer. All right, so as a children's librarian, I do read a lot of what goes into the library, partially so that I can recommend it to the kids. Sometimes it works out that as an ELA teacher, I'll read it because it's going in the library and then love it. And there have been some books, I end up buy me a class set because I'm going to use it for this grade or that grade. So I do, the first two are books that are from the library. So this one is called The Swifts by Beth Lincoln. I think it's actually her debut novel. And this was actually Barnes & Noble's Children's Book of the Year. It is delightful. I actually started reading it with my 6th graders out loud because I thought they would get a kick out of it. There's a lot of wordplay in it. And we didn't get to get through the whole thing, but I think hopefully they got a taste of it and some of them will read it on their own. So the idea is the Swift family, everybody in the family is named, the family tradition is that when a baby is born, the mother is handed the dictionary, the family dictionary, and they flip through and find a word, and that word becomes the baby's name. So the main character's name is Shenanigan. And the idea is that the people in the family live up to their name. So her sister's name is Phenomena. She's a scientist. Her other sister's name is Felicity, which happens to be actually like a name people use, but it means great joy. So, and there's crazy, like somebody in the family, her name is Atrocious, and somebody else's name is Peak, and somebody is Pamplemousse. Like there's crazy names. But part of this, they come back to the family estate every 10 years or so because there is a treasure buried someplace on the estate that one of their ancestors buried, and so everybody always comes looking for it. And of course, you know, shenanigans ensue. It's not her fault. The matriarch of the family gets pushed down the stairs, and so Shenanigan and her sisters want to try to find out what's going on because Gumshoe, who's the detective in the family, doesn't know what he's doing. So really great great story with the sisters and learning about your family, what's in a name, kind of like your expectations for a person, and really good mystery. So highly recommend this one. I had all the kids in 6th grade. They had to come up with what would their name be if their name was a word, and it was fun assignment for them. All right, so the other one I'm not quite done with yet. So this is called The Last Quintista. I think that's how you say it. I'm not a Spanish speaker. I took French. This actually won the Newbery Honor, the Newbery Honor a couple of years ago. This is in our young adult section. And it's kind of like The Giver in space. If you've never read The Giver, you need to read it. Everybody needs to read The Giver. It's one of the best books ever written. It's by Lois Lowry, won the Newbery in 1994. It's spectacular. So the idea of this is that Earth is dying. They have several ships that they load with scientists and people who they're hoping will be able to continue life on another planet. The planet set out. So the main character is what's her name? Oh my gosh, it means rock because her father's a geologist. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name, and I can't find it like off the top of my head because she's the one telling the story. So anyway, the main character, her parents are scientists, so she and her brother and her parents are being loaded onto the second ship. And things don't go as planned. There was a group of people, as like Earth was ending, who wanted to change the world into something where there were no differences, where everybody was the same. And she overheard her dad saying, well, if you do that, like, what are you giving up? So when she comes out of the cryogenic sleep, hundreds of years later, that group has taken over the ship and has tried to make everybody the same. I'm only about halfway through it. It is excellent. The cool part is that her grandmother was a storyteller and passed it on to her. So she wanted to be a storyteller. And she uses some ancient Mexican and Spanish influenced stories as a way to reach the other kids that she's in a group with. So can't wait to see how this one ends. It's really good so far. And that is by Donna Barbara Higuera. And I probably said that terribly because French. Okay, so the other books I've been reading were all on my Kindle. I have Kindle Unlimited. Last year, right at the end of the school year, beginning of the summer, I got a notice on Facebook that said, get Kindle Unlimited for 2 months for free. And I was like, you fool. So, and then I kept it because it's really bad. It's like, oh, I finished this one in a series. Click, and now I have the next one. So this is a really great series. This is the first book, Growing Season, by Melanie Lagershout, I think is how you spell her name. Lagershout. So the main character is Melinda Foster, and she is an or a marketing executive in Minneapolis, and she gets downsized. So she spends a couple weeks kind of moping around in her apartment, and then gets word that her uncle, who runs the family store, has had a heart attack, and they need her help to come back to this. Like, since she's not working, would she be willing to come back and help out at the store for a little bit until he's better? So she does go back to, it's actually like the town next to her hometown. Her parents live in the town over, but this is the family store that's been in the family for a long time that her aunt is now running. She winds up looking for a place to stay in town so she can help at the hardware store, and she falls in love with this cute little farm house that is on a working farm, and she rents it, and that starts the beginning of her adventure. So each of the books, it has season in it. So growing season was the first one. The one that I just read was book number 7, a turning season, obviously fall. The next one I think is called waiting season, and that's a wintry one. There are 10 books in the series, and it's just one of those that's easy to fall into. The characters are all very likable, very real. They're not really romances. I mean, she dates a couple different guys, but you know, and things don't always work out like they do in Hallmark movies, and they're just really enjoyable. There's a second series, because now I only have 3 books left, and I kind of don't want to, like, I want to savor them because I like Melinda. There's a second series called, and the first one I think is The Road That Takes You Home, and it's about the person who takes over as the postmaster in the same town. So it's the same group of characters, but a new main character. So I'm looking forward to that one after I finish these. This is the first one, Sage Parker's House Above the Bookshop. Now, I'm glad I got this out on Kindle Unlimited because they're all like little shorts. There's 6 of them. They were only about 60 pages each. So I was actually listening to one in the car, and when it was over in 60 pages, I was like, wait a second, what? So I'm glad I didn't pay $2.99 for 60 pages. But it was a good story. So the main character is a jewel thief, and she thinks that she has been made when she's in a jewelry store in Los Angeles. Her mother calls with this cryptic come home message. She has a very strained relationship with her mom, but she decides she's going to go home anyway because that'll get her out of LA. And who should she fall in love with but her old friend, who is now the town sheriff? And is her, history going to come back and find her? Of course it is. So she has problems with the people from her past wanting her to still kind of be under their thumb while she's trying to make a new life. So I thought it was enjoyable. I may read other things by the same author in another time, but be aware it is in 6 little installments. And so the one that I'm reading right now, this is called Saving Sandcastles. This is not in Kindle Unlimited. I did actually pay for this one. I actually think about it last year, and I was like, oh, it's a summer story. I'm going to read it now. So this one is 3 friends, Claire, Maxie, and Jane. Claire runs a bakery called Sandcastles. Jane is running her family's inn called Tides. Her mother is starting to suffer from dementia and has wandered, and so that's a big portion of the story. And then Maxie, her husband, is a bank executive. Their kids have grown up, and she's kind of dealing with empty nest syndrome. So, not syndrome, but you know what I mean. So in the first one, Saving Sandcastles, Claire's bakery is doing pretty well. And then a new bakery opens up in town. The other bakery only does bread, but she is right off the bat feeling very threatened by this new bakery in town. So I'm almost done with this one. There are 5 more. So this one's Claire's. Jane has one, Maxie has one, and then there's a couple other people, like Jane's sister has a book. But again, pretty realistic. And pretty easy to fall into. It's just a quick, fun read. I saw some friends who are both readers not too long ago, and they're like, what have you been reading? And I was like, I read brain candy. I really don't read like hard stuff. But I do have a lot of stuff. I have several piles of books sitting next to my bed. So I'm trying to be good about, I can listen to the stuff on my Kindle, but I really need to read hard copies as well. And we won't talk about the 2.5 large bags of books I brought home from school, because I was like, oh, I need to read this one and this one and this one and that one. So hopefully something looked good to you there, and I'll share next time what I've been reading as well. Thanks for sticking with me for almost a whole hour. I do appreciate you spending time with me and your comments. And so remember, if I make it to 500, I'll be able to give away the bee sampler. So what are you working on? Answer that question in the comments. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Like and subscribe. That would be really awesome. I hope you all had a great, happy, healthy 4th of July, and you're looking forward to the next couple of weeks of summer, whether you're on vacation or staycation and staying cool. Hope you get to do it with some fun stitching. Feel free to post pictures of what you're working on in your comments. I'd love to see them, so we can, you know, kind of connect and seeing what each other's working on. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Happy stitching.